What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:25 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys on the situation in Europe, the Middle East, and all around the world. I want to just first talk about the nuclear forces here in the U.S. So, yesterday, I reported that U.S. nuclear forces were on high alert. And so far today, it appears we still have a heightened level of alert by U.S. nuclear forces, although not as high as yesterday, but it is still early in the day, so I'll keep you guys updated. I do think that we're going to see some kind of escalation in Ukraine very soon. Russia is massing 50,000 troops in southern Ukraine in Zaporizhia. They're also massing 30,000 troops in southwestern Russia near Kharkiv. So it's possible that Russia may launch some kind of massive counteroffensive against Ukraine. They've already taken Avdiivka from the Ukrainians, and they are now advancing in 5 directions in eastern and southern Ukraine. And this could be why we've been seeing so many U.S. nuclear warplanes in the air. And this Saturday is the 2-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. So I'm going to be going live tomorrow night, Friday night, and probably Saturday and Sunday night to do live coverage in case Russia launches some kind of counteroffensive or some massive missile strikes. I will be covering it live. I want to just show you guys what we have going on right now. Here we have a U.S. B-52 Stratofortress nuclear bomber over the Ozarks in Arkansas, and it's been up in the air basically all morning and all afternoon so far, and it is now just looping over the Ouachita National Forest in the Ozarks. Okay, and we also have an E-6 Mercury over Offutt Air Base right now. This is a nuclear war command and control plane, and it's used to disseminate launch orders to our nuclear armed submarines from the president and the Pentagon. It's also used to remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs if there's any kind of issue with launching them. And we had 3 Russian doomsday planes go east to Siberia from Moscow late last night. They turned off their transponders at around 0930 UTC time near Kazan, which happens to be very close to Yashkar Ola, which is where Russia has one of their main nuclear missile bases. So this is very interesting. And I want to just show you guys all the nuclear warplanes that were airborne yesterday over the United States. We had 7 E-6B Mercuries in the air yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening, which is the most amount of E-6 Mercuries I've seen since August or September, right before Hamas attacked Israel. Okay. And we also had 2 presidential doomsday planes in the air yesterday as well. One of them got aerially refueled. There was also this B-2 stealth bomber flying over the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri with no transponder on. This was sent to me by a subscriber. Okay, check that out. So yesterday we had a lot of activity. Here we have more of the nuclear war command and control planes that were airborne yesterday. And here we also have more of them. And there was also a nuke sniffer in the air yesterday as well. We continue to see a massive amount of NATO reconnaissance activity over Poland and the Baltic countries, and I'm very concerned that Russia could launch a surprise attack on the Baltic countries. Yesterday, we had another French Mirage 2000D fighter jet. This is a nuclear or conventional long range strike fighter jet. Okay, it's specifically configured to launch long range precision conventional missiles or nuclear armed missiles. And it's been patrolling in the Baltics the past week every single day. And yesterday it flew 3 sorties in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia along the Russian border, which is very concerning. And look at all this activity last night. We had a U.S. reconnaissance plane patrolling around Kaliningrad in its usual area, northeastern Poland, around Lithuania and the Baltic Sea. We had a French aerial refueler that was doing loops over Lithuania and northeastern Poland, probably refueling some fighter jets or some aircraft that had their transponders turned off. We had also a tanker plane that flew all the way up to Estonia, and then it turned around and came back. So very interesting. And we still have this RQ-4 Global Hawk patrolling over the Black Sea. And usually when you see this RQ-4 flying like this in the Black Sea, it means that they're providing targeting information to the Ukrainians. And we do have reports that last night Ukraine launched missiles into some occupied territories. They hit Mariupol and Berdyansk. Okay, so we could see some Ukrainian HIMARS strikes and cruise missile strikes on occupied territories in Russia, probably today and tomorrow, ahead of the 2-year anniversary. And Ukraine is currently building massive fortification lines. Here we have some pictures of this trench and bunker system here. Look at this, guys. Okay. Massive amount of fortifications being built in Ukraine. They're digging in. They're concerned that Russia is going to launch a big counteroffensive, okay, with all those troops they've been piling up in southern Ukraine. And we have some breaking news coming out of Florida. There were 6 cases of the measles confirmed in an outbreak at a Florida elementary school. CBS News Miami reports that 200 students at Manatee Bay Elementary School did not show up for classes on Tuesday as the measles cases have quickly spread. And this comes after the leader of the World Health Organization warned about disease X, saying it's a matter of when and not if the next outbreak will occur. And we also had the first fatal case of the Alaska pox last month. And Alaska pox is a cousin to smallpox. And we also had a bubonic plague case in Oregon. So a lot of plagues and diseases going around now, guys. Okay, make sure you guys are sanitizing and protecting yourself because there's a lot of stuff going around. And Lithuania decided on Wednesday to seal off another 2 of their 6 border crossings with Belarus, leaving only 2 border crossings with Belarus open amid growing tensions. The Lavariskis and Raigardas checkpoints will stop functioning on March 1st, and all traffic will be diverted to the remaining 2 border crossings at the villages of Medininkai and Salchininkai. And Lithuania decided to also suspend the movement of pedestrians and cyclists through the last remaining border crossings. Okay, so another sign that NATO is preparing for war with Russia. Okay, Finland has already shut down their entire border. Estonia has shut down their entire border. Poland has shut down almost their entire border with Belarus, with the exception of, I think, 1 or 2 crossings. And I think they shut down their entire border with Russia as well. I think Latvia also shut down their entire border. And they're all building defense lines and fortifications. Okay. The Polish prime minister met with some of the ministers in Finland and the Baltics, and they're going to work on a massive fortification line from Finland all the way down to Poland, guys. This is something we haven't seen since World War II, okay, when the French built the Maginot Line. So They're going to try to seal off the entire eastern border of NATO from Russia. Okay. They're going to try to do what the French did. They're going to try to build basically like a modern day Maginot Line. All right. And senior Iranian officials stated today that since early January, they transferred over 400 short and medium range ballistic missiles to Russia, including hundreds of the Fateh 110 variants and several Zolfalgar road mobile solid fueled ballistic missiles for use in their war against Ukraine. They further stated that there will be additional shipments over the coming months in order to deepen military cooperation between the two countries. So, very concerning. Iran sending hundreds of short and medium range ballistic missiles to Russia, and also solid fueled road mobile ballistic missiles so they can use them against Ukraine. Very, very concerning. And the British military recently attempted a routine test launch of their only nuclear deterrent, and it failed for the second time since 2016. A Trident II D5 submarine launched ballistic missile was test launched at the end of January from a British Vanguard class submarine, one of 4 nuclear armed submarines that the British have, and it's their primary and only nuclear deterrent. The missile only remained airborne for roughly a minute after the second stage booster did not ignite, causing the missile to fall into the ocean off the coast of Florida. Wow, that's not a good sign. Now, just so you guys are aware, the British get their missiles from us. Okay, the Trident II D5 is our primary submarine launched ballistic missile, and we actually give it to them or we sell it to them at a very reduced price. And they have 4 Vanguard class submarines. Those are their main nuclear deterrent. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1-month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1-month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And I believe each one of them can carry 16 of the Trident II D5 missiles, which is actually a lot because each Trident missile can carry up to 11 475 kiloton warheads. So within those 4 submarines, it doesn't sound like a lot. Oh, 4 submarines, that's not a lot, but each missile can carry up to almost a dozen warheads, and that's 16 missiles per submarine. So do the math, okay? 4 times 16 times 10. Okay, you're talking several hundred warheads. Okay, so that's a lot of firepower that the British have, but apparently one of these missiles failed their test launch. And the first group of Ukrainian pilots being trained on American F-16s will complete their training by the summer of 2024, according to CNN. The pilots began training in mid-October of 2023 at the 162nd Fighter Wing in Tucson, Arizona. Okay, so we could see F-16s in Ukraine as soon as June. And the Ukrainian armed forces claim to have shot down 2 more Russian Sukhoi fighter jets last night, bringing the total to 7 shot down in the past few days. They claim to have shot down a Russian Sukhoi 33 and a Sukhoi 34 last night. And this comes after they launched a devastating HIMARS strike on a Russian army base in the Donetsk region, leaving dozens of Russian soldiers dead. And the Swedish government today announced the transfer of the 15th military support package to Ukraine, worth 7.1 billion krona, or $680 million. This is the most expensive military support package provided by Sweden to date. The package includes naval equipment, bombs, and torpedoes, anti-aircraft and anti-tank systems, ammunition, and other support. And they're also going to be financing the production of CV-90 armored personnel carriers. Specifically, the package includes 10 Stridsbat 90 amphibious landing craft, 20 Grupit boats, underwater weapons, especially mines and torpedoes, RBS 70 portable anti aircraft systems, Tau anti tank complexes, grenade launchers and ammunition, artillery ammunition, hand grenades, Carl Gustav grenade launchers, medical equipment, and ambulances. What's very interesting is there's a lot of amphibious equipment and naval equipment here in this package, a lot of amphibious landing craft and underwater weapons, which tells me that Ukraine might be planning some kind of beach landings or amphibious assaults, potentially on Crimea in the near future. And over 500 people were arrested in Russia for laying flowers in memory of the assassinated Putin opposition leader Alexei Navalny. And now, while in detention, they are being forced to go to the front lines in Ukraine as cannon fodder. They are being given mobilization papers and are reportedly being forced to sign them. One Russian said, "If we don't sign it, they will break our fingers." Wow. And the Finnish Minister of Internal Affairs, Marie Rantanen, is warning that as soon as winter ends, Russia will send a massive wave of migrants to Finland as part of a hybrid attack similar to what happened in Poland right before the Ukraine war started, when Belarus tried sending thousands of migrants to Poland. She said the situation on the border with Russia may worsen as soon as the weather changes. Similar experiences of the Baltic countries and Poland show this. We have information that there are thousands of people on the Russian side ready to get to Finland. Wow. And Ukraine launched missiles into occupied southern Ukraine last night. There were kabooms reported in Mariupol and Berdyansk, and this was reported by Russian sources. We don't have any information yet on the extent of the damage. And the Czech defense minister, Jana Černochová, announced on Tuesday that Prague does not support the dream of a common European army because it is an illusion. So she's referring to Germany and some of the Western European leaders saying that they want to create an EU army and an EU nuclear force. And she said that the Czech Republic doesn't support it. Iran's oil minister, Javad Oji, said Israel was behind last week's attack on Iranian gas pipelines. And Israel carried out 2 rounds of airstrikes on Damascus last night and 1 round of massive airstrikes on Lebanon. Apparently, Israeli warplanes hit an apartment building in the Kefrusa district of Damascus where IRGC commanders were hiding out. According to local sources, 3 Iranian commanders were killed. So that is very interesting. And today there was a Hezbollah anti-tank missile attack that damaged several buildings in Metula in northern Israel. And we currently have an advisory that was put out by the British Maritime Trade Organization for the Red Sea, and they're warning that over the next 3 days there could be an increase in the number of drone attacks in the Red Sea. They must have some intelligence. So this is very concerning. So we could see uh, an increase in the amount of Houthi attacks in the Red Sea over the next few days. And there's been a ton of attacks over the past few days. And so far, the U.S. has not really responded much. We heard yesterday that they launched some strikes in Western Yemen, but nothing serious. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But it looks like the situation with the Houthis is continuing to escalate. Okay, they're striking more and more ships. They almost sank a British ship. They forced the entire crew to evacuate. They took down another one of our MQ-9 Reaper drones worth $30 million over the weekend. Okay, so it's just getting worse and worse over there. And the Biden administration is really not doing a whole lot about it. And here we have some pictures of the Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon last night. Look at these massive plumes of smoke, some massive ordnance being used here. Look at this, guys. Look at how small these buildings are in comparison to that plume of smoke. I mean, that is just a massive, massive plume of smoke there. And here's another one, some massive ordnance being used on Lebanon. Okay, I mean, it almost looks like a nuclear weapon or something. And apparently, the Turkish Air Force announced that they carried out operations against some targets in northern Iraq against the Kurds. And Turkey's fifth generation stealth fighter jet made its first flight yesterday. And Polish police said Wednesday they were investigating a banner at a farmers' protest calling on Russian President Vladimir Putin to get Ukraine in order, which sparked anger in Kyiv. Farmers in Poland have been protesting what they say is unfair competition from cheaper imports from their eastern neighbor, an issue that has already soured ties between Warsaw and Kyiv. During fresh protests on Tuesday, farmers in Gorzicki, southern Poland, unfurled a banner saying, Putin, get Ukraine, Brussels, and our government in order, along with a Soviet flag fixed to a tractor. The picture of the banner was widely circulated on social media, prompting angry reactions from Ukrainian users. And I actually showed you guys this in my update yesterday. I said this was very unusual because Polish people despise the Soviet flag. Okay, the Soviet flag represents oppression and communism. And so it's basically illegal to fly a Soviet flag or a Nazi flag in Poland. So many people, including myself, believe that a lot of these farmers in Poland are actually Russian agents that are being sent there to try to split Poland and Ukraine. So they're not good allies anymore. And let me read to you what the Polish police said. The banner and the flag were seized by the police during the proceedings, a spokeswoman for the local police told AFP. The person who was driving the vehicle was identified. Criminal investigations are ongoing, she added. Officers have launched an investigation into promoting a fascist or totalitarian regime and inciting hatred, she added, an offense that carries a maximum penalty of 3 years in prison. And I want to just show you guys the radiation situation here in the US and in Ukraine. Right now, we don't have any unusual radiation spikes in Ukraine, so that's a good sign. And here in the US, we also don't have any unusual radiation spikes, but I'm going to continue to monitor the radiation for you and keep you updated. And finally, I just want to mention that we are in the peak of solar cycle 25, and NASA and the NOAA are saying that there's a potential for strong flares and CMEs this year. Okay, let me read to you what they wrote here. As we approach the peak of solar cycle 25, we should expect to see more sunspots, each of which is a region of intense magnetic activity capable of producing solar flares and coronal mass ejections. This period of elevated activity can last up to several years with impactful space weather events possible in 2024. And last week, we had an X 2.5 class solar flare. Okay, an X class flare is the strongest type of solar flare there is. Okay, so make sure you're prepared for a power outage. Make sure you have all your critical electronics in EMP bags or Mylar bags. You can buy rolls of Mylar and use that to wrap up all your devices. You can also get emergency blankets, the space blankets. They're very cheap, and you can make Faraday cages out of them by literally just gluing them to some type of a sealed container, and that will protect your devices. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And I will be going live later on this week, probably tomorrow night, Friday night, and Saturday night to cover the 2-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. So until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.